Hi my friend, welcome to this video. Um, Today I'll be looking at and reacting to Rupert Spira's video of There's No Personal Responsibility, which is a video I've sent to coachees quite often in the past. So people I'm coaching or helping. And if you're interested in that, you can book a free call below where I can meet you and we can have a chat about either your journey or this video or how I can possibly help you or if you have any questions. So let me know and then we can book a call. So without further ado, let's go to Rupert Spira, one of my favorite teachers, especially early on in the path when I was starting to understand this whole landscape of non-duality and different teachers and different depths of that, because different teachers point to different insights and experience, often the insights and experience that they've had in the past. So let's go, Rupert Spira.
There's no individual agent inside the body orchestrating the activities of that particular body and mind.
Yeah, so this is already really big, right? He's saying that there's no center to the human experience. There's a feeling or an illusion or an energetic contraction, often in the body, that's creating a sort of sense of self. But that sense of self is actually a belief, which can fall away. And when it falls away, we see that what is happening automatically. So there's impulses coming, there's thoughts coming, there's feelings coming, and it's automatically creating an experience. It's creating certain actions that we do.
I mean, just ask yourself now, for instance, how many activities, chemical reactions are going on in the body right now?
I don't know. I'd assume thousands.
I think billions is probably closer. Right. I don't know. Let's say
zeros. Lots of zeros.
Let's say lots and lots of zeros. Yeah. Now, even from a conventional point of view, how many of those do you have control over?
I would say none.
Okay, you'd say none. Most people would say my thoughts and my movements. I mean, most people would say, one or two. What kind of control is that, to be able to control one or two things out of billions?
I'm in control, I can tell. Okay.
I mean, even from a conventional point of view, the idea of there being a controlling entity inside the body or the mind is absurd. And contemporary biology and science and physics and is now recognizing this.
And the interesting thing is when you look at some of the science that is recognizing this, and philosophy has also recognized this for a long time, that this no me, this no center to experience has puzzled us, because how do we actually cope with that as a society? And how can we implement that? It isn't taught in school or anything like that, even though it's very clear scientifically. It's very interesting to look into that. But a lot of the people that are researching this and have found this are themselves still having this me experience, because it's not very clear to how we can deconstruct that. And it is very clear for, teachers or spiritual people that have done this, but it's not so clear for the scientists or biologists that are looking at that.
I mean, just take our thoughts. Obviously, what everybody wants more than anything else is to be happy. And what prevents us from being happy is the thought that says, I don't like what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is resistance, right? So basic suffering is resistance to what happens. We create this meta story that we don't agree with what is going on. Like there is some other possibility to what is happening. There's no other possibility, there's only this that's happening, right? But that's one of the illusions. And when we resist that which happens, because we can imagine another future or another moment, but it's not here, right? But we forget that. We live in this illusion of our minds being able to create ideas of how it should be.
So obviously, the first thing we would do if we could control our thoughts would be to choose for our thoughts to be totally okay with what's going on. You know, my wife's just gone off with a neighbor. Response, that's fine with me. You know? If we can control our thoughts, shouldn't we be able to have that thought? And wouldn't that be the thought that you chose? Because then it would be fine. There would be no problem. Can we do that? No, we can't. I mean, that should be enough to persuade anybody, everybody, that they don't control their thoughts.
So then, any suggestion how one ought to live one's life? I mean, we tend to make plans. I think I'm going to get on a plane on tomorrow. Who knows? Yeah,
you just live whatever God places in your lap. Yeah, is just what you get. You're if.
So this is not God in a sort of religious way, right? But it's whatever happens, you could say, is what is happening. It's this. I think I saw once in one of my insights that there's like this chain reaction from the Big Bang onwards of, thoughts, feelings, expressions, basically nature going on. And we think that we have all this control, but actually we are also being controlled by, the last YouTube video we watched, the conditioning from that, let's say, my grandma had, that she passed on to my mom, my dad, etc., that they passed on to me. So there's a lot of these causes and conditioning that just keep on expressing, that keeps on expressing itself in different ways through us. And when we can see that and not resist that, that's actually the way that it can offload itself, that it can let itself go, you could say.
If the thought, the feeling of hunger just appears, you don't create it, then next thing after the feeling of hunger appears, the sensation of hunger rather, the thought appears, okay, let's call a friend and go out to dinner at a local restaurant. Or the thought appears, let's see what I've got in the fridge. You can't do anything about it. One of those two thoughts, or some other thought, is going to appear. Whichever thought that appears, your body is going to go either to the local restaurant or to the fridge or whatever. So just everything that you need will be provided.
But if the thought is one of apparent destructiveness, like, there's a bottle of whiskey, I think I'll have that.
Yeah, so in general, right, there's no free will. And how that, there is will, right? But there's no free will, because our choices and our ideas are based on our conditioning and our memory and that which naturally arises in us. If it's a new idea, it's what has arisen, right? If it's an old idea, that's what came up in you. And there's no control of, should I think this or should I think that? No, thoughts happen. Choices happen, ideas happen, feelings happen. Should I feel sad right now? No. Sadness just happens, right? Or not. So, and then the idea of, for example, sometimes things come up like, I should slap him in the face. And then another thought comes, oh no, I'm not going to do that, right? Or there's a restriction that doesn't happen. Or it does maybe, hopefully not. But and then that is also just arising. This control or this idea is also then just arising. So that's this very interesting thing, that everything is just arising. And we're not controlling it. We're not asking it to arise. It arises by itself. And that's our lack of free will. And oftentimes people think we have no will. Right? But we do have will, but it's not free. It's just automatically happening.
Okay, if that thought appears to you, you're going to find yourself going to the bottle of whiskey and drinking too much of it.
Good thing I don't like whiskey, but I like wine. So
The fact that you don't like whiskey is just part of the conditioning of your body, which you have absolutely no control over. I mean, you might have been given a body that liked whiskey. Did you choose not to like whiskey and to like wine? No, not at all. Just the way you found yourself.
So then if somebody has behavior, whether it's antisocial behavior or even criminal behavior or addictive behavior, that's just what's happening? Or
Yes, there's no entity that is responsible for that behavior. That behavior is a response that has been conditioned. The thoughts and feelings that lead to that behavior are just a result of that person's conditioning plus genetics plus whatever it is that conditions any single action. But there's no individual responsible.
so then there's no responsibility?
There's no personal responsibility. And strangely, understanding this doesn't make us behave in irresponsible ways. It's when we...
Yeah, so exactly, like this lack of control is often scary for people because they think I'm gonna do crazy stuff, right? But if that hasn't arisen in the past, then probably it's not gonna arise in the future. That's no guarantees. There are no guarantees in life, right? That alone is, of course, scary or maybe sometimes triggering. That's why it's scary for people to think about the idea of no free will, because they find that that they don't have control. And actually that's something we've been resisting, the freedom and the ability to just let go and enjoy this ride. That's what most of this is just our inability to let this play out as it wants to play out. We want to improve this, we want to work with this, we want to fine-tune this, instead of letting it just do its thing. We're so worried about the character, Kees, or whoever's watching this, right? But this character is just part of the constant condition. You didn't choose your name. You didn't choose your face, right? You didn't choose your parents. You didn't choose all these things. They're just happening. And somehow they're perfect. Somehow they're meant to happen like this. And somehow you've been sitting here and you're alive. Probably also with some food in the belly. So, you're doing great, right? Enjoy the ride, my friend.
believe there is personal responsibility, that we find ourselves behaving in irresponsible ways. When we feel, I am a separate person, it is that feeling that gives rise to irresponsible behavior. Let's take an extreme. What enabled Hitler to behave like he did? What was the founding thought behind his behavior?
His ego, his belief in a...
deep sense of being a separate self. Without that feeling, it would have been impossible for him to think, feel, act, and relate like he did. So it's the apparent presence of the separate self that makes us behave in irresponsible ways. When that sense of separation goes, we don't find ourselves going around trashing people and behaving in unkind, ugly, irresponsible ways. No, our behavior is in line with the totality and serves the totality.
And the interesting thing is that it was like that before also. But we had all this mental overlay, all this mental suffering, all these ideas of that we were in control, which is creating all this suffering. So when this falls away, we notice an effortlessness, which has always actually been there, but we were in the way. This belief of a self that should do or should do not, or control, etc., that was in the way. So, oftentimes, a lot of our pain and suffering is coming from this idea of free will. And when we drop that idea and drop the idea that there's somebody controlling this, or that control is necessary in the first place, and we just surrender and be with this, and can fully stop in one moment, as Gangaji says in the stop video, right? If you have 1 minute or 1 moment where we just stop striving, then everything can fall away for you, all your pain and suffering. And oftentimes it's maybe a little bit longer than 1 moment, but this can be very fast if you even stop spiritual striving, stop any striving, stop any idea. So this is more of the theory behind this, and I read this lovely research paper where they could actually see 5 seconds before somebody acted to press the yellow or the green button, which button they would press, because it would happen in the nervous system and the brain first, and then people would say what they were going to do and then do it. So things just arise, right? In meditation, we can see that something comes up, an action, an idea, etc. And then very closely afterwards, there's a controlling or a claiming thought. That was me, I did this. I did this because of that. Often we don't know why we do things, and then people ask us like, oh, wow, why did you do that? Or maybe we come up with a reason ourselves, but actually that's just rationalizing. It's just fantasy, basically. It has just happened for you. So if you have any questions, let me know. If you're interested in talking about this a little bit more with me, then feel free to schedule a coaching call, free coaching call below. Bye-bye, my friend. Ciao. Thanks for watching.